Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. Today's story, definitely one of those ones where I look back on and I'm just like, wow, I was a certified idiot. Like, there's just no other way to put it. Yeah, today's story time's a crazy one, judging by the title. I'm sure you can already see that. If you enjoy this story time, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. As always, feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below if you got any that are, crazy. Yeah, let's get into it. So today's story time all takes place back in 2015. Now in 2015, my YouTube channel was definitely blowing up a little bit. It wasn't like 2016 where like I, catapulted to like millions of subscribers, but it was still pretty like good in 2015. And it was starting to look like it was going to be, potentially my career. And I was really hoping it was going to be because that's like the best job ever. And let me say, now that I got it, it is like the best job ever. But at the time, there wasn't any guarantee. So my parents weren't quite on board with me yet, like pursuing it full time. And they wanted me to like help out around the house and help like pay for things. So they wanted me to get a job. And I've worked a little bit throughout my life. Before this, I had some like one-off local jobs with people I know, like friends and family and stuff. And I volunteered at a pet shop at one point. And I have a little bit of work experience. So when my parents told me that I, needed to get a job, essentially, I was like, all right, sure. So I went and I applied for 20 different positions at 20 different places. And some of them were a little bit more regular, just working at Burger King or something. And then other things were a little bit more niche and unheard of. There was this one position that I applied for, and I shit you not, it was to help clean up a graveyard. Yeah, it was literally gonna be me pulling up every day to this graveyard and sweeping leaves away and getting leaves off of gravestones and just making everything look good. And honestly, looking back, I kind of wish I got that job because the one that I got, an interview for was not very good. So anyway, I applied for 20 different places, right? And I was waiting to hear back. And a week after I had applied to all these places, I was sitting in my room. I had just woken up. It was a Saturday morning. And I was just scrolling Twitter like I normally do every morning. And I get a phone call from a random number. So I answer it. And I was like, hello. He's like, hi, my name is Steve Blank. I work at this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And I already knew what it was. It was one of the restaurants that I applied for. It was a local burger chain that was from my hometown. And they had really good food. So I was like, yeah, maybe I can just get an employee discount or something if I work there. That'd be sweet. So yeah, he calls me and he essentially tells me that he wants to set up an interview and was wondering when my soonest availability was. And I was like, oh, I can do it whenever. How about Monday? He's like, yeah, that sounds good. So I scheduled to have an interview with this manager. His name was Steve, and it was this burger place that I really liked. So I was excited. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to get this job, and my parents won't be so on my back anymore, and I can do that and balance YouTube, and I'll be fine, right? Well, to no surprise, that didn't work. But anyway, back to the story. The next day, Sunday, so the day before the job interview, I was hanging out with a few friends of mine. My friend Zach invited me over to kick it at his house and a few others. So we were all at Zach's house hanging out. And while we're there, we're just chilling, not really doing a whole lot, right? And Zach gets this idea. He's like, yo, you guys down to eat some shrooms? And I was not in the mood to be doing that. I can't lie. I was tired. I had that job interview the next day. So I was like, nah, I'm all right, man. Just in case it burns me out or makes me feel like shit, I'd rather just not. Maybe after Monday or something. And then Zach reaches into his little bag where the shrooms are and he hands me a few of them. And he's like, well, you know what, man? Take some home with you. Go on a little journey. And I was like, oh, okay. Thanks, dude. He's like, yeah, man, no problem. And I was like, yeah, I'll probably do these later in the week or something. He's like, fuck yeah, dude. Let me know how it goes. I'm like, I will. So fast forward even longer. They were having their trip. They were doing their thing. They were having fun, right? And it was getting a little bit late. So I was like, all right, I got to go home. So I told everyone goodbye to enjoy the rest of their trip. And I went back to my house, right? And I got inside, went to my room, kind of got ready for bed because it was getting late, like I said. And I had that job interview in the morning. And it was I think 8 p.m. So it wasn't super late, but it was late enough to be all right, I'm getting tired. And I get a phone call, and it's from a random number from my area. And I answer it, and I was like, hello. And I hear, is this Austin? And I was like, this is Austin. He's like, hey, my name's Pete. I work at this company. And it was a construction company that I applied to help clean the job site, essentially. I was going to be a janitor, I guess, at this construction site. And he was like, sorry, I'm calling so late, but I just want to see if you wanted to come in maybe sometime in the next couple days and kind of take a tour and we can get you started. And I was like, oh, okay. You guys don't want to do an interview? He's like, honestly, man, the type of work we're going to be having you doing is not very intense, not very hard to do. And you seem like a trustworthy kid that's just trying to make a buck. So yeah, we'll just hire you. So I love this, right? I'm like, oh, cool. Like I already got a job. I don't even have to like go to that interview tomorrow now. I could just go and start this place in a couple days. So I was like, yeah, cool. Sounds good. He's like, can you come in on Tuesday? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. He goes, all right, cool. I'll see you Tuesday at 4:00. How's that sound? I'm like, sounds good. So now I'm stoked, right? I hang up with him. I don't have to go to that interview the next day because I already had a job. And I decided, I'm going to celebrate. So I jumped on Xbox, stayed up really late playing COD, did not go to bed early like I originally intended. And also at like 3, 4 in the morning, I decided, you know what? I'm going to eat some of these mushrooms. So I ate quite a few. And by quite a few, I mean definitely enough to make me feel some stuff. And within like an hour or two, they had definitely kicked in. I was feeling it. I wasn't having like insane visuals. I just felt kind of like light and, airy, a little bit just spacey, I would say. I definitely had a little bit of some visuals at a couple points throughout the night. But for the most part, I was just kind of high, to say the least, right? And before I know it, it's like 6 in the morning. And I'm like, shit, I have to go to bed. Like my sleep schedule is going to be fucked. So I get off Xbox. I'm still kind of tripping. And I hear my mom wake up, right? And she's like walking down the hallway towards my room. And I'm literally getting into bed as she opens my bedroom door. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, going to sleep. And she's like, Austin, it's 6 in the fucking morning. What do you mean you're going to sleep? And I was like, I'm going to go to bed. What do you mean? And she was like, you have an interview. And I was like, no, I forgot to tell you. I got a job. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I got a job. This construction company that I applied for to help like clean up their job sites and stuff. Like they already hired me. I'm going in on Tuesday to like get a tour and start working. And she was like, what? What's their name? And I told her the company name, and she was like, no, that just sounds sketchy. I don't like that. They're supposed to interview you. They're not supposed to just hire you off the bat. And I was like, I get what you're saying, but this company did, so I don't know what you want me to say. She was like, well, honestly, I think you should go to that interview you had today with the burger place. That way, like, you have 2 things lined up, and you can, be safe if one of them falls through. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm, like, really tired, and I don't feel really good. And she was like, I'm not asking. Like, you're going to that interview. It's in an hour, so get ready. And I was like, no, come on. And she was like, I don't care. So I had to get up out of bed, take a shower, keep in mind while I'm still feeling the effects of these shrooms, and get ready for a job interview on no sleep, on mushrooms, feeling just absolutely like ass. And 7 o'clock rolled around, and I went to the burger place. I got there. The manager called me into the office. He starts interviewing me. Starts it off with one of the most complex questions I've ever had to answer on mushrooms. He was like, so Austin, what do you want out of life? Like, where do you see yourself in like 30 years? Which, by the way, is a crazy question to ask a teenager applying for your burger restaurant. And I was just like, I don't know. I would like to just, be happy. And he was like, good answer. What about a career? Like, you have any career plans in mind? And I told him the truth. I was like, I would like to just kind of maybe do my YouTube stuff that I have going on and maybe something on the side if I have to. And he was like, oh, YouTube stuff. And he starts asking me about this, and I'm telling him about it. And keep in mind, the entire time, I am nauseous, I am sleep deprived, and I keep hearing and seeing little things, but I can't tell if it's because I was just on no sleep or the shrooms, or honestly, probably both now that I'm thinking about it. It was probably just both going hand in hand. Because I kept looking at his desk, and it had this really weird pattern on the top of it. It was like a wooden pattern. And it looked like it was slowly twisting, like very like slightly. Not like incredibly noticeable or moving a whole lot, but just when I would look at it very closely and kind of focus in on it, it looked like it was kind of slowly turning to the left. And then I would blink and it'd be fine. So I think it was honestly just a combination of like sleep deprivation and the shrooms, because sometimes when I'm really sleep deprived, I kind of see things. So yeah, I think that was what it was. Anyway, I end up completely fucking up this interview, dude. Like, we go through and he asked me like all these questions that honestly half of them I can't even remember because I was so messed up. And I just completely didn't answer them correctly at all. I was tired and stupid and on shrooms, and I think every answer I gave just sucked. Some of the notable ones was that first question he asked, where he asked what I wanted to do in 30 years, and I gave him that kind of like honest answer about wanting to do YouTube. I don't think he liked that. I think he wanted me to say like I'd be managing the location I'd be working at or something, so he would know that I had a long career at this burger place. And then another question he asked me was what college I wanted to go to, and I just told him that I was quitting school, and he didn't like that very much. He gave me a very dirty look when I said that. And then the only other question I remember that he asked me that I feel like I gave a, weird answer to was when he asked me if I could clean the bathrooms. And I said, sure, if you really need me to. And I was kind of just trying to like be, funny and tell a joke, but he got really serious looking after I said that. And he was like, well, you probably would have to because it's a part of the job. And I was like, yeah, okay. And yeah, after the interview, he essentially tells me, he'll call. And I was like, okay. So I walked out of his office, got my mom's car outside. She drove me back home. The whole ride home, she kept asking me, like, what'd he ask you? Like, how'd it go? Like, did it go well? And I told her the truth. I was like, honestly, no, it didn't go well. I'm running on no sleep. I definitely answered the questions not very well. And I feel like I borderline offended him a couple times. And she's like, what do you mean you offended him? What'd you say? And I was like, nothing. I feel like I didn't answer his questions correctly. And she was like, all right, well, we'll see. So I get back to the house, I get in my bed, I proceed to sleep all day, and then I wake up later that day, right, to 2 voicemails. One's from the burger manager, and one's from the manager of that construction job. And both voicemails, I shit you not, are telling me that I didn't get the job. The first one's like, hey, this is Steve from over at the burger place. Just letting you know, we found somebody else that's a little bit more qualified for this position. No hard feelings, and we definitely encourage you to apply again in the future if you're ever interested in joining our team. Have a good one, Austin. Goodbye. And then I go to the next message. He was like, hey, Austin, I talked to you yesterday. I'm the guy from the construction company. I was telling you to meet here at 4 on Tuesday. Unfortunately, we're not going to need you anymore. We have somebody else actually coming in and handling it, so we appreciate you applying. If you ever need anything in the future, just let us know. Thank you. And I listened to both those messages and I was like, damn. So I had to get up out of bed that day and go tell my mom that both jobs didn't work out. And I had to keep trying. And I did. I had to keep applying. But luckily, like a few months later, the YouTube stuff really started to pop off. And I didn't have to get a normal job. So your boy got to be a YouTuber. So in the end, I'd say it was a pretty happy ending. But that is the story of how I took mushrooms before a job interview and how it went pretty wrong. So I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys all later. Peace.
I be fully loaded, I be whipping foreign cars. Always stay devoted, mama knew I'd be a star. Now I'm steady flowing, feeling like I'm high as Mars. I'ma keep on going, I'ma always raise the bar. I be fully loaded, I be